Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
All right, cool. I'll bring this one back real quick. 3.
Fine.
Oh. Welcome to the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast, our regular Thursday edition. Jeff Sharon, Eric Lopez, and Brian Murphy with you. We had our basketball preview special editions earlier this week, guys. We are burning the midnight oil tonight on a night that's full of college basketball. We had, actually, it's just been a day of it. We had it earlier this morning, didn't we?
Yes, although I don't know if my hearing will be repaired for the next 6 months, but
fair point.
It's good basketball.
I'm still ringing from that. That was fun. We were all at the women's basketball game earlier today. We're recording this on Wednesday night, and they played the game early at 11 in the morning, and it was Education Day, so we had some 4,000 elementary schoolers, 3rd to 5th grade at the game, and they were great, and they were loud as could be. Okay, quick sidebar. So, you know the burrito wrap competition that they had in the first media timeout? Did you guys see that?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
You guys missed that? Well, that's too bad, because the girl who won is my niece. My niece Samantha. I didn't even know she was going to be at the game. And I see her run up and down the floor. Basically, she's running gassers trying to put together a burrito made of pom-poms. And she won, the little contest there, and I didn't realize it was her until I saw her out there, and then she didn't realize that I was doing PA for the game until she was walking off the floor, and then she saw me and she waved. She's like, "Hi, Uncle Jeff," and I was like, "Samantha!" I was freaking out. It was great. I'm so MVP of the show already. My niece Samantha. Congratulations, Samantha. Job well done. She can run, man. I'm really proud of you. So, all right. I want to get that out of the way. We got a lot to talk about here.
Murph, what did we just hear, Murph? Did we just see, family, little nepotism here on the show?
No,
Did you miss my slow, awkward clap? I mean, I was trying to put
that's what that was. That's what that was. How dare you? How dare you slow clap my niece? So we've got that. We've got obviously we'll preview football. Early game this week. It's on Friday night against Tulsa at Tulsa. We'll preview that, plus a look back at what UCF was able to do against Houston. The second half as action just continues to get better for UCF. We will talk about men's soccer finishing the regular season as the outright conference champs in the regular season. Women's soccer making their run in the American tournament. They got through the first round, and we'll also hear from Jordan Pingel, graduate of the UCF Volleyball program from last year, on what she's been up to since she graduated and her thoughts on UCF Volleyball this year as they enter senior weekend already. Final regular season home weekend of UCF Volleyball coming up this weekend, including a big match against Cincinnati, Eric Lopez.
Marquee matchup, and it's going to be an honor to have Jordan Pingel, All-American player, the all-time record holder in digs. She will break down, actually, the keys to that match between Cincinnati and UCF. Not a bad person to have on to talk UCF Cincinnati. She knows a thing or two about that matchup. Plus, we'll talk about what she's up to nowadays and her great career.
Cool. All right, so we'll get all that. Plus, we'll recap that women's basketball game from earlier today. But first, let's talk football. UCF, wow, another second half of the ages against Houston, getting the victory, 44-29 in a game that really wasn't all that close in the second half. And now a quick turnaround, Friday night game at the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Here's an interesting number, gentlemen. UCF has never won at Tulsa. UCF is 0-4 all time at the Golden Hurricane.
They haven't won in football or men's basketball.
That's right. Men's basketball is 0-10?
That's a bad number. I don't know what it is, but it's bad.
So it's been rough going for UCF against Tulsa. Of course, that goes back to the Conference USA days when, Tulsa was actually a pretty good football team. They're not as good now, although they are frisky, to say the least. Last meeting was a win for Tulsa, 35-20, but that was back in 2016. That was actually the last time they were any good. Tulsa was 45-30 win for Tulsa in 2015. UCF's last one was in 2014. I don't know about you, Murph, but Friday night at Tulsa, House of Horrors for UCF. I know Tulsa's not what Tulsa used to be, but any reason or cause for concern heading into this Friday night game? Is it the short week? What is it?
I mean, yeah, if you want to do that, or maybe it's gonna be cold.
Well, that's convincing.
Game time. I'm trying to buoy your stupid argument, Jeffrey.
Wow.
We're 5 minutes in. You've already pissed me off twice.
Oh my god.
Whoa! Whoa!
So that'll do it for the Black Gold Banneret. Yeah, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Brian. I'll let you get it out of your system. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff. Kickoff temperature will be probably in the mid 40s. So bring your long johns, I guess.
Will it be windy?
It could be a little swirly. Could be a little blustery.
All right.
This Tulsa team, yes, has been whatever you want to call it, spunky or whatever.
Frisky.
I think their record says, you are what your record says you are, and this is a team that, on the regular gives up 35 to 40 points a game. Their defense has been fairly atrocious all year. They cannot run the ball, and this game I think the one thing that sticks out to me about this game is this could be a really tough watch. And I do think UCF wins easily. And I will say the last time I said that on a UCF road game, they were heading to Pitt. So I understand that I might be stepping in it the second time.
Here we go.
But I really do think UCF wins easily just because Tulsa's defense has been bad, just straight up bad. You know how often we've talked about UCF penalties and their lack of discipline and the pre-snap, post-snap stuff? They do. And UCF still ranks among the worst teams in terms of penalties per game, penalty yardage per game. However, there is no team, and I mean no team, that is drawing more penalties than the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. This could be a slow, methodical, I don't know, maybe a fight will break out. This thing's going to take forever. Because there's going to be 20 flags on this game. And I do think UCF wins by more than 16.5. But it's not going to be a fun watch.
17 is the number right now, by the way. 17.
Right.
67% of the money on UCF. The over-under 69.5. Opened up, by the way, at 14.5 and jumped up to 17. Tulsa, like you mentioned, they're 2-7, 0-5 in the American. They lost that one game to Memphis by 1 point. They lost in triple.
It was 42-41 or something.
Right, 42-41. They also went
should have won the game. Won the game.
They also went to triple OT with SMU and lost by 6.
Should have won that game. They were up 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, their only wins were against Wyoming and at San Jose State earlier in the season. They lost to Cincinnati. This is what I mean by how they're frisky. Okay, we talked about 3 overtimes to SMU. They lost to Cincinnati at Cincinnati by 11 points. They lost by 1 to Memphis, and they had Tulane on the ropes last week and couldn't knock him out and lost 36-28, lost by 8 points. So I don't know. I'm overstating this, aren't I, Eric Lopez? The UCF should take care of business here, but I don't know. There's just something about UCF and Tulsa going back in history that just, I don't know, maybe it's just PTSD. Am I wrong about that?
No, actually, I'm on your side, and I'm against Brian on this side. Now, look.
Since when do you agree with me in opposition to Brian?
Since I heard over 6,000 third and fifth graders yelling in the ear. But
what did they do to your brain?
That's what I want to know myself. But look, I watched them a few times this year. They hung in there with Oklahoma State. They gave Oklahoma State a good game. Oklahoma State pulled away late in that ball game. The SMU game, they dominated that game. They were up 3 touchdowns in that game. The Memphis game, they should have won. If their kicker actually makes makeable field goals, they would have beaten the Memphis and SMU. We would not have had College game day in Memphis. So they haven't been necessarily a walkover, and they are at home. And the thing is, you look at that point spread. Yes, the money's on UCF. It's everybody's picking UCF. It's begging you to take UCF in the points, right? You're thinking, I bet you Brian secretly called his secret bookie and probably mortgaged his house on that number, didn't you, Murph? You just put it all in there already.
How dare you cast aspersions on Brian Murphy's upstanding citizenship here?
I mortgaged both wheelchairs.
That's pretty. I can't top that liner.
Brian wins.
So look. It's a tricky game. I would say, should UCF win this game going away? I agree. But what have you seen from this team that would suggest they're going to play a full 60 minutes on Friday night? They've only done it when? When have they played a 60-minute game this year?
Temple, and then I would say still the second half against FAU was good. Actually, the full 60 minutes there was pretty good. And also last week against Houston was flat out dominating, maybe more so than any game in any half this season.
Okay, you're going to say I hope you would say the second half, because the first half they gave up 196 yards rushing to a team that's trying to redshirt the whole year.
Yeah, but one of the guys that they aren't redshirting yet, they are now, but one of the guys they aren't redshirting then was still good. So whatever. My point is, go ahead. No, you finish your point, Eric, and I will rebut again.
I'm just saying, it's a tricky game, and UCF and weird stuff happens in Tulsa. It's not a very exciting city, with all due respect. I've been there twice. Really, if you're not careful, it's a tricky place. That's all I'm saying. I'm not suggesting that they're going to lose. I'm just saying, would it shock me if I'm at the media room at the Magic at halftime and I look over at UCF and Tulsa in a close game at halftime? No, I wouldn't.
Eric's out here lobbing grenades at Tulsa is a city. This is amazing. This podcast is already an 11 out of 10 in the early going. This feels like another game where I think you're right, Eric. Like, we're going to look up at halftime and it's like a 3-point game. But then second half UCF shows up because it just feels like Philip Montgomery and Tulsa, they just don't have enough in those second halves. And this would be a bit, and I don't want to understate, like, if UCF is able to walk into Tulsa and get the victory, it's going to be at 7 p.m. on ESPN2 on Friday, by the way. To get a win in Tulsa is big because any conference road win, I don't care about the quality of the opponent, any conference road win is big in any way, shape, manner, or form that you can get it. Plus, in addition, you get a W on the road heading into the bye week, because remember this year we have 2 bye weeks. UCF's got a relatively late bye week, no game next week. Their next game is at Tulane on November the 23rd, and which is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and so they get an extra day off in addition to all that. So you get off the schneid at Tulsa, you get a win, you get to 8-2. Well, here's my next question. All right, so we had the CFP poll rankings come out. 4 teams from the American are in there. Let me ask you this, and I know what Eric's answer is going to be, so I'm not going to bother asking him. Brian Murphy, is there a possibility of UCF potentially sneaking into that college football playoff top 25?
Woo! Oh, Murph, it's such a prestigious rankings, Murph. Can we? Will we?
Can UCF sneak in there? Because remember, there's still some crazy stuff that might go down here. We have 4 American teams in it. They're all ranked at Cincinnati's 20, Memphis is 21, Navy's 24, SMU's 25. Could UCF sneak in there somehow, you think?
You mean like this week?
Sure.
All right, so Jeffrey, I'm going to go real high tech on you.
All right.
If UCF wins this game by double digits, let's say, and then some teams that are ranked at the bottom of the top 25 lose, I'd say there's a pretty good chance UCF sneaks in.
Okay. Just putting that out there. Putting that out there.
There
All
you
right.
go. Chew on that one.
All right.
By the way, it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
You say it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. Right.
We got Temple in South Florida. Well, it only doesn't matter until it does, and it might not matter this week, but it could matter.
Call me when Cincinnati loses.
That's the
Jeffrey.
thing. They're playing UConn on Saturday at 3:30.
Well, we won't be calling you Murph this week.
Right.
I've mortgaged my future wheelchairs on a Cincinnati win there.
I feel better about that one.
SMU's at home against ECU. Not a lot of only 4 conference games this weekend. South Florida's at home against Temple. A lot of schools have the week off, and then Saturday, November 16th, is where things really start to kind of ramp up a little bit here with Cincinnati against South Florida, Memphis and Houston, Tulane and Temple. That's next week while UCF is off. So, but all right. So again, 17-point spread. This is what I'm thinking. What's going to be any news to report, Brian, off of the UCF front? I know Greg McCrae might be coming back. Is that right?
Possibly. I believe there is some optimism there. We're used to Josh Heupel telling us that a final decision has not been made about injured players heading into games, and usually when he does say that, they don't play. And I will say that today, when asked about the status of Greg McCrae, when asked Wednesday, he said that there has not been a final decision made on his status. However, Greg is out of the knee brace, and Heupel said he has been taking reps in practice all week. So if not this Friday, then it certainly looks like a good bet that he will be back for the Tulane game in 2 weeks.
An interesting point here about UCF in terms of the rushing game. Right now, UCF's leading rusher is Otis Anderson at 543 net yards. Benno Thompson's got 467, and Adrian Killens has got 413. Greg McCrae is not in the top 3 among UCF's rushing leaders. Now, he probably would be had he not get hurt, but right. Still, that kind of shows you the kind of depth that they have, at least at this point, right?
It sure does. And I mean, Bentavious Thompson has really been, at least he's been this offense's most productive back for the last 3 weeks, ever really since the ECU game. I know, obviously, Otis had that huge game against Temple, but in terms of touchdown scoring, big runs, Bentavious Thompson is not a fast guy. He's ripped off 4 30-yard runs in the last 3 weeks. He's been amazing. And I don't know, maybe if you want to read more about him, then go pick up the Orlando Sentinel tomorrow morning. Someone might have wrote something about it.
Look at that, a little cross promotion there. I'm digging this. Here's a nice little tidbit for you. Tulsa right now in the nation, 112th in rushing defense. That's not very good.
They give up a ton of points. They're bad on defense. They commit so many penalties. I think if UCF secondary can hold on, against their receivers and particularly Kalen Stokes, excuse me, I really don't see this much as a threat. There's only one house of horrors for UCF athletics, in my opinion, and that's the FedEx Forum. This is not a house of horrors.
Even though they haven't won there in 4 tries, including a conference championship game.
That's fine. It's 4 games. It's still a small sample size.
Well, keep in mind, Jeffrey, Murphy has never been to Tulsa, so that is all nullified by Murph's presence. We've seen how this football program has responded with Brian Murphy's around.
So
saw how they responded well when I went to Pittsburgh for the first time in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that worked out really well, didn't it? That worked out fantastic. So kickoff for that game Friday night on ESPN2. Dave Fleming and Gene Chizik calling the game. That's for right, ESPN2. Yeah. Former UCF defensive coordinator, knows a thing or two about the program. Paul Carcaterra down on the sidelines at Chapman Stadium in Tulsa. 7 p.m. Friday night should be a pretty good one. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got some other football to talk to you about. Big news from UCF men's soccer as they prepare for the postseason. They are the outright conference regular season champions. We'll recap that and a look at what women's soccer is doing as well. Stick around. The Black and Gold Banneret Podcast is back in just a moment.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Welcome back to the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. Jeff Sharon, Eric Lopez, Brian Murphy with you. We started with football, and now we continue with the other football. We're talking about men's soccer and women's soccer, and how about this year for men's soccer as they finish up the regular season? And number 6 in the coaches poll, number 3 in the RPI. They get another golden goal from Gino Vivi. And UCF finishes the regular season with a 3-2 victory over the Cincinnati Bearcats. Obviously, they got the 1-0 win over Memphis last Friday night at home on senior night to wrap up at least a share of the conference regular season title. Now they've ensured that they won it outright with that 3-2 win at Cincinnati at Gettler Stadium. The Knights finished this is some amazing stuff for Scott Calabrese's team. UCF finishes the regular season 13-1-2. That's the fewest losses in the regular season for UCF men's soccer since 1976. They finished the conference season 6-0-1. First undefeated conference season since 1980. And they finished 8-0-1 at home. Now they get more than a week off. They will not play again until Wednesday, November 13th. At 7 p.m. in the semifinals, which the Knights will host on campus. They will face the winner of Temple versus Memphis with a spot in the American Athletic Conference championship match on the line. That would be scheduled for Saturday, 7 p.m., but you got to get through the semifinal first. But we'll start with you, Eric Lopez. This run by this team, 8 overtime games. They won 6 of them on golden goals. I guess it's safe to say this team's battle-tested heading into the postseason. Let's put this in perspective here. You know, we know this team is good. Are they good enough to challenge for not just winning their conference here, but could they challenge for a national championship in the College Cup?
Yes, I mean they're the committee came out with their top 16 seeds on Friday night if the season would end Friday. And UCF came in at number 6. So, I mean, obviously they're in the mix. The big concern, though, that I have is defensively. They gave up a late goal at Cincinnati in the 82nd minute, had to come back and win it in overtime. They've done this a few times where they've coughed up leads in the second half, and Coach Calabrese has talked about it. That's my biggest concern is coughing up leads late and being forced to play in overtime because, as you guys know, in the postseason, overtime's different in that, yes, you still play the 2 10-minute overtimes, but then there's the penalty kicks. So all of a sudden, teams tend to play more defensive in postseason and play for penalty kicks sometimes. And we saw that at the end of last year. UCF lost in penalty kicks in the American Conference Championship game and then lost in overtime to Lipscomb in the second round of the NCAA. That's my concern, and I think that's the question is, can they shore that up? If they can, no question, they can end up in Cary, North Carolina in the College Cup.
Yeah. We heard from Scott Calabrese after that game. And again, I feel like, you know, what Memphis did to them, and Memphis is a pretty good team. They're receiving votes in the top 25, but I feel like what Memphis did to them could be a blueprint for how to sort of defend UCF in the postseason. Let's hear from head coach Scott Calabrese after the Knights clinched their share of the regular season title.
It's an incredible achievement, and I'm so proud of this group. And I think one of the hardest things to do is to follow up success with success, because you really have to stay hungry and you don't surprise anybody anymore. And it just shows their absolute commitment to each other, which I think is something that our program has grown in an incredible way. The culture of this team, how connected they are off the field, and they are 100% a family. And so I'm just so happy for them, happy for us. Love that we've had back-to-back championships, but even more so, just excited that we get to play again and that we get to keep going. So yeah, it was a great night.
Head coach Scott Calabrese of UCF men's soccer as the Knights celebrated their second consecutive regular season championship in the American. I think looking back at those weaknesses kind of that you talked about, it's not like UCF isn't aware of those things. But I do feel like they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder also from last year too, Eric, because of how the American finished out, losing it on PKs at home, and then losing at home in their first NCAA game. I think that those two games really do stick in their craw, and I think there's some value to having that experience. And of course, it's a bummer that they lost, but having that chip on your shoulder, I think, really does count for something in the postseason, don't you think?
Oh, I agree. I agree, and I think they're excited to get this back home to host the semifinal and potentially the championship game if they were to win the semifinal. I think they got a pretty good draw getting the winner of the Memphis match. We'll see what happens there with the 4-5 situation. South Florida's on the other side of the bracket, but yeah, I think it's a situation, and I think this, as I mentioned, the committee has them as a number 6 seed. You want to be a top 4 seed. If you're a top 4 seed, you pretty much play all your NCAA tournament matches at home up until the College Cup, which is the Final Four in soccer. If you're a 5 seed or lower, that means you're going to have to play a road match. So I think UCF has to win this conference championship tournament to have a chance to be a top 4 seed. Otherwise, they're probably just going to be in the outside. So there's added motivation for that, and try to do the double dip and win the regular season and tournament title. So lots to play for, and it's a veteran team. And you're right, the experience from last year should help them go through this upcoming year.
Yeah, try and pull the double here, as they have obviously. RPI could be helped out. Of course, that ranking could be helped out if they play SMU again and if they beat them. I'm sure they would prefer to do that in the final if they get the chance. But that's further on down the road. They need to get past either Memphis or Temple first. Wednesday, November 13th at home, 7 p.m. at the Track and Soccer Complex. That's the next time we'll see UCF men's soccer take the pitch, as they will have plenty of time to rest up and get ready for the NCAAs. Their counterparts on the women's side are already in the American tournament. They finished the regular season 11-3-4. Got the win on Halloween night over South Florida, ranked number 24. That did help out their RPI, but not nearly enough. So they had to play in the first round against Houston. They scored 5 goals at home against Houston, beat them 5-0. Elo, you were on the call for that game, so you got yourself an American tournament game. Next up, another game with South Florida. This will be at Memphis on Thursday, November the 7th at 5:30 p.m. So we were talking earlier, Eric, about what has happened to the UCF offense in the month of October. Starting with that October 17th game against Temple, UCF has scored a grand total of 2 goals in 5 games, and they dropped 5 on Houston on Sunday. What happened?
Well, they've got some confidence all of a sudden. When you get a win like you did against South Florida, where Moreno scores right before the half, you feel good, and then Moreno scores 2 minutes into the Houston match, you're feeling good about yourselves. In fact, right after the match, Jessica Taylor, the senior who scored one of the 5 goals in that match, in fact, scored the last goal of that match, she talked about how, they're playing with some confidence, and they know, by the way, that they're playing for their season this week in the tournament.
We know that to get into the NCAA tournament that we have to win this conference tournament, so it's a really big win, and it's our last home game, so we didn't want to take any moment for granted and leave it all on the field, and we did.
Do you feel your team's different here, different vibes since the win with South Florida, the confidence coming in, scoring so early, scoring in bunches? You feel that kind of the tide turning here a little bit, feeling good about yourselves going to Memphis now?
Yeah, I think we know that like when we play our best, we are the best. So playing against a really good team, South Florida, like I said last time, they're really good, and it gave us the confidence and the confidence to execute today. So it was really good for us.
All right, that was Jessica Taylor after the Houston win. And look, they feel that when they play at their best, Jeff, they're the best team. And that hasn't been consistent. They had that little scoring drought. But they know they have to win the conference tournament to get to the NCAA tournament. They know that. And I think, I'll tell you this, Jeffrey, I think the last 180 minutes might be UCF soccer has looked like a completely different team. They're playing with confidence. They're number one in the league in defense and goals against average. They've only allowed 3 goals in the conference. And they, now with some confidence offensively, I think they're a dangerous team in Memphis. They're playing with confidence. They've got the momentum going into Memphis against this match with South Florida. And, that's something that when I talked to Coach Sahaydak, Jeff, right after the match, she agreed. That Houston match was the best thing that could have happened to them, as she says here. She couldn't have dreamed it up better.
I had this dream and I wanted to be able to score early. I think that's always the best plan, and so for Ellie to do that and position us just to be up top early on was really awesome.
Do you feel your team right now and the players we're talking about feel extra confidence ever since that South Florida went a little boost there, and now they're playing freely now all of a sudden?
Of course, South Florida is such a good team, so to be able to get a result against them definitely was a confidence builder. And then I think being able to execute and score 5 goals today, it's hard to score goals no matter who you're playing or your opponent is. So the fact that we executed and scored 5 was big time.
You can't predict how a match goes, but the way it went, it allowed you to play a lot of players and bring them in, keep them try to fresh here moving forward for Thursday.
Yeah, I think being fresh throughout the season is so important. Just with how our schedule is, how many games there are in a short period of time. So be able to play so many players off the bench today was important.
Now you got Florida again. You just played them. What's that going to be like? What's going to be the keys they're moving forward?
That's tough to have to play them so quickly, but they're a team that we play with a lot of emotion, a lot of passion. There's that rivalry, and our plan is to be able to come out with that same spunk and that same competitiveness again, and hopefully get the result again.
And that was Coach Sahaydak there, Jeff. And talk about getting a great start. The beauty of that blowout win over Houston, they were able to rest a lot of players. Kanya Plummer didn't even play in that game, who won the Defensive Player of the Year in the conference. She should be good to go for the Thursday semifinal. I think they're a rested team, and they're a team with confidence. And I can't wait to see how they fare against South Florida. They did a great job against them in Halloween. It is a little weird that they're playing a week later, so South Florida maybe has the edge from a standpoint. They can make some adjustments, but it's a big match, Jeffrey, because that's a game where both teams probably need that. South Florida is not in the as far as they're a lock for the tournament. Some believe they need to win that match to secure a spot in the tournament. So this is going to be an emotional match. And I can't wait to see it, but it should be an interesting match on Thursday. But this is a team that's totally different than they were 3 weeks ago, and might be peaking at the right time.
Well, looking at the RPI here, Memphis right now is the top team in the American at 24. South Florida is at 39, which is right on that line where they're kind of where you would see the bubble, I think. UCF's SMU 69 right now. UCF right now is sitting at 90. So UCF really has to win the tournament. Now let me ask you this: if UCF has to win the tournament, they would have to beat South Florida. That would help their RPI, but not enough. Then who would you rather see in the final? Would you rather see SMU, the 5 seed, or would you rather see the top seed Memphis?
SMU, because first of all, you've beaten SMU at third place. That's number one. Number two, you wouldn't have to play a true road game like you would if you played Memphis. And number three, at that point, I think they would feel pretty good about they match up well with SMU. Now, having said all that, I was at the Memphis match earlier this year. Statistically, they outplayed Memphis. They could have easily won that match. So it's not like they can't beat Memphis on the pitch. The problem is Memphis has home field. So I always feel, you're basically playing a true road match. I would take my chances with SMU, and I think SMU has a shot for whatever it's worth to upset Memphis. I'm not saying I'm going to pick them, but interesting trend, though. Here's an interesting trend. The regular season champion the last couple years have not won a conference tournament. UCF in 2017 won the regular season title, lost on penalty kicks to South Florida in 2017 in Orlando. Last year, South Florida won the regular season title, lost to Memphis in the conference tournament final in Tampa. So UCF at least is hoping that trend would continue as well. So we'll see what happens. I think it's interesting. It's a weird year for the league. It's a down year, and yet these are probably the 4 best teams in the league, and I don't think there's a big separation in between these 4 teams.
Interesting. All right. Murph, are we going to get you to the men's soccer match on next Wednesday?
I hope. Yeah, Murph.
You know what? There's a chance of that possibly happening. Certainly, basketball is on bye, I believe. Or excuse me, football's on bye. God, I wish basketball's on bye. Football's on bye, and I think basketball has a game the night before. So if I can rub the sand out of my eyes from that one, maybe trudge my way back down to campus, possibly be back out there.
Now,
tell
Jeffrey,
Ileana and Michelle that you're making it happen for the good of the market.
Okay. Jump right on that.
But now, Jeffrey, don't expect Murph to be necessarily automatic to be at the championship game, because there's just as big of an event going on right next to the soccer track complex that night of the championship game, the Black and Gold Baseball World Series, Murph. And you're not going to get. I mean, that's big. I mean, how have we gone this far in the show without Murph breaking down UCF Volleyball baseball? I don't know how that's happened. I'm shocked.
Waiting for my time to shine, guys. You just call my name, and I'll come running figuratively.
I'm just happy that we have players that we can field on a roster after last year, all the guys that left. So that's one thing that we have to be happy about. I do want to re-emphasize the Thursday, November 7th semifinal. That will be televised on it'll be on the American Digital Network. Is that right, Eric?
That's right. American Digital Network live from Memphis.
All right.
We'll be out there. So great city. I don't know. I'm sure our boy Jeff Brightwell will be around there. I know Haley Alton will be there. I don't know if Brightwell's been like the mayor of Memphis over the last week, man. He's been all over the place. He's just
been enjoying it, man. And then the final will be Sunday, November 10th at 2 Eastern, and that will be televised on ESPNU. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. All right. Now, over to volleyball. And I wanted to get, first of all, a recap of the weekend. A huge weekend coming up for UCF after they were able to take care of business on this split weekend. They beat South Florida at home in the War on I-4. That's not really a surprise. South Florida's having a rough go of it this season, and then had to travel out to SMU, long road trip, tough terrain, and they beat the Mustangs in 4. UCF has now won 9 in a row, and by the way, it was McKenna Melville with 20 kills. Anne-Marie Watson and Christina Fisher both finished with 13 rather. So now comes the final home weekend for UCF volleyball in the regular season. 2 key matchups. First of all, starting out with ECU. This one's going to be, don't overlook this one, Friday at 7 against the Pirates. Even though ECU right now is struggling at 5-7, they're still 3rd in the East in conference, and they're 18-8 overall. And then assuming UCF gets through that, they have one more shot at the Cincinnati Bearcats on Sunday afternoon. Now, here's the latest with Cincinnati. UCF and Cincinnati right now are tied atop the East Division in the American at 11-1. Remember, we have divisions in volleyball this year. Cincinnati has the tiebreaker, having beaten UCF, but they lost to Tulane earlier this season. If UCF wins, and then wins out the following weekend against UConn and Temple, who are a combined 5-19 in conference this year, UCF would then clinch the East Division title, and in the process would also clinch the bye in the conference tournament. Remember, we have a conference tournament this year. It goes over 3 days, and you don't want to have to play 3 matches in 3 days. That's hard enough to do. Jordan Thompson, Cincinnati's top player, bona fide Olympic team candidate for 2020. Did you see the match that she had against UConn, Eric?
Yes, I did.
How about you, Murph? Did you see what she did against? No.
What are you doing? Are you trying to shame me?
I can't believe. Yes, you know what? I am. Because here's what you missed.
Because I slow clap.
Yes. Turnabout is fair play. Here's what you missed, Brian Murphy. Jordan Thompson was named National Player of the Week by the American Volleyball Coaches Association. 5-set match against UConn. Oh, boy, UConn almost pulling Cincinnati back down and putting UCF in first place. Thompson had 50 kills in that match. 7th highest kill total in a single match in NCAA Division I history. And obviously a school record. First player to hit for 50 kills in a match during the rally scoring era, and the first overall player to hit the 50 kill mark since Sarah McFarland of Loyola Marymount dropped 52 on Ohio State. That was back on September the 10th, 1999. This is quite, and she did it on some 83 swings, which is actually even more remarkable because she was hitting over 600 in that match. A truly remarkable achievement by a remarkable player.
Best player in the league by far.
Probably for my money, is she the best player in the country?
I'm not going to pretend I'm the Karch Karai here. But she's definitely one of the best. She's definitely a legit All-American.
Yeah, I hope, and that's what UCF has to face on Sunday is certainly, like you said, the best player in the conference. This is just really something that to see what she was able to do against UConn. I just want to pull up some of the numbers, but go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Well, instead of you rambling off the numbers, let's get a perspective of a player, maybe the best defensive player in the history of UCF volleyball, who's gone up against Jordan Thompson to tell us what it was like to face Jordan Thompson and face this Cincinnati team. She knows what this rivalry has, which has really developed in the last few years, is all about. Cincinnati, UCF, and that is, of course, I'm speaking of Jordan Pingel. Jordan Pingel is an All-American, all-time Diggs leader, maybe the greatest libero and defensive player you will ever see in UCF volleyball history. She helped UCF win the American Conference Championship last year and then into the NCAA tournament as a host and got to the top 25. I had a chance to catch up with Jordan Pingel, who will tell us what's going to be the keys for UCF on Sunday against Cincinnati and moving forward to go back-to-back conference championship and what she's been up to lately. Here now is our conversation with Jordan Pingel on the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast.
And we welcome Jordan Pingel here to the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. It's out, you pretty much, if you have as every significant Diggs record in program history, All-American, joining us now. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, let's first catch up with Knight fans there. A lot of them have watched you obviously play your career. This year, obviously your first year since you've graduated. What have you been up to for the audience?
Right now, I work for a smaller corporate events company based out of Orlando, so I'm still living around in Oviedo, still visiting and seeing all my Knight family and being a good alumni of the school. But other than that, just keeping busy with work and supporting everyone.
Yeah, you've been at a lot of matches this year. What's been your thoughts on the this year's Knights team? Certainly, as they get set for their final regular season home matches, they have East Carolina Friday, and then the big one that everybody circled, Cincinnati on Sunday, which we'll get into in a little bit. But what's been your thoughts so far of the 2019 Knights?
So far, I think they've been a lot of fun to watch. I think it's cool to see some of the younger players that were freshmen last year kind of step up and take some more leadership roles, like McKenna, for example, being one of the captains, I think was huge for the team. I think it's also cool to see some of the juniors now as seniors and them kind of going through exactly what I went through last year with kind of enjoying all the laughs of volleyball and college volleyball, but they're a very talented group, and they're very spread out age-wise now. So I think they will continue to have success throughout the years.
Many questions from people on the outside asked going into the season how they would fare without you, because you were a significant loss. You were the leader of the team last year. Just talk about your position on the court and then how they fared with it this year from what you could tell.
Yeah, so my position on the court was a big-time defensive leader. Basically, any ball that came on defense was my responsibility, whether I was touching the ball or not. I had to make sure that ball was getting up. And then also as the only senior and the captain, just kind of keeping the team in check, kind of continuing on the culture that we want, the winning mindset of we're going to be unstoppable until somebody can prove that they can beat us kind of type thing. But I think watching this year, they have Mackenzie as libero, and I think she does an excellent job. I think the Knights are super lucky to have her transfer in as a grad transfer because she comes in with experience and also some leadership abilities from her other team, and I think her skill set is great, and I think she has filled the role in very well.
As you head to the final home stretch here, what's it like as a player knowing that the finish line is here? Now, what's unique is there's a conference tournament this year. That was not the case throughout your career. So that's an extra interesting wrinkle in here to the finish line here. But you got the regular season title on the line with 2 weeks to go in the regular season. Then you have a conference tournament. What's the mindset of the players as you get closer to the end here and close to the postseason?
As it goes on, it's kind of a little bit bittersweet because you're so close to the end, but it's also you're so close to the end. And I think playing for a conference championship regular season is so exciting, and I think it'll be fun. If they get that chance against Cincinnati, I think that's going to be a huge match, and having that at home will be very exciting because we all know Knight Nation will show out for that one. But I think the conference tournament is going to be an interesting thing. I think it's cool for them to be the first to experience it, and I look forward to kind of hearing from the girls and seeing what their thoughts are and if they like it or not. And then obviously NCAAs is always an exciting thing and such a blessing if we get to go to those. So it's all just a lot of exciting. Postseason is exciting, and that's the jitters and the nerves and the anxiety. And I mean, last year for me, I was so excited. It was my first NCAA tournament, and I was a senior, so it was last year. It was just so exciting and all these emotions, and then it didn't end as we all wanted it to, and it was absolutely devastating. So I'm hoping that the girls can kind of settle in better than we did last year and go further than we did last year. I think they can definitely make it past the first round for sure, maybe second, Sweet 16. I think they have potential to go pretty far.
Right, because almost everybody's back from the team from last year and having that experience. So, I got a sense that there's a little extra motivation because of that, maybe a little unfinished business, right, from last year?
Right. I think there's a little bit of a chip on everyone's shoulder knowing that we didn't finish how we wanted to and how we know we could have. So this year, let's prove it to them kind of thing.
Well, one team that's a roadblock, and that's Cincinnati. And it's kind of developed a little bit of a rivalry. They're a tremendous team. Everybody knows about Jordan Thompson, who was this week's AFCA National Player of the Week. Very deserving after an incredible 50 kills in her last regular season on Sunday, which is unbelievable. You've played against her. In fact, you've played against her 6 times. She had to sit out a year due to an injury. That's why you two didn't graduate at the same time. But describe what it's like playing Jordan Thompson, who I remember when we first saw her as a freshman. I was doing a broadcast on the America Digital Network here at the venue when Cincinnati and UCF played with Aaron Campbell, who you know very well. And Aaron watched her, and just 5 minutes in, she's like, this is a future All-American type and U.S. player. And, boy, she was correct on that. What makes her so good?
I think, first of all, her height is huge because she can hit over 90% of the block. So as a defender, you kind of use the block as a key, and you read around the block and you read the hitter. With her, it's with most people, unless you're Anne-Marie, who can jump out of the gym, you have to read around the block completely and not even take the block into account. So you're basically just focused on her as a hitter and where she's going to hit, because she'll just hit wherever she wants over the block. I think that her stamina is incredible. I don't know how she's taking 90 swings a game, but her getting 50 kills is incredible. Like, she is a very talented player, and I think it's just keeping her off balance with the blocking and the defense. Like, make her have to earn her kills against her. We don't want her to just hit her normal shot over and over and over, where if she's hitting the corner, we adjust our defense to do that. So we make her change her shot and really make her earn the kills.
Yeah, make her work for it. And Coach Dagenais have said in the past, hey, she's going to get hers. That's not, she's going to get hers no matter what you do. She's going to get hers. The key is to kind of try to shut down the rest of the group there, right?
Yeah, and they have some other pretty good athletes and hitters on that team as well. So they're a very well-rounded team and always fun to play, always good competitive games against them.
Yeah, you played 2 classic 5-setters last year. You beat them twice last year. That was the difference to winning the conference championship. And it seems like, you bring the best out of each other there. You both have been NCAA tournament programs. Is it one of those things there the last couple of years? Is that one of those matches the players kind of, circle a little bit? I know you don't overlook matches, but, you know how good they are, and I'm sure they know how good you are. And is that one of those things where it's like you circle it and you're ready to, you look forward that date?
Oh, definitely. I think that's a huge rivalry match for us. I know we take each game at a time and focus on each team at a time, but in the back of everyone's mind, it's, okay, what are we going to do in practice this week that we can compete with Cincinnati and beat them? What are we going to do that we're going to get better, where we can beat the USF and UConn, but also this will help us beat Cincinnati? It's always kind of in the back of our mind just because they are such a strong contender, and beating them helps not only our RPI, but the conference rankings and all that.
What's the key to beating them? What's going to be the key on Sunday in that match for UCF to be successful? Well, you were successful last year beating them in 5 sets. Earlier this year, Cincinnati won the match in 3 sets at home. With a little misleading. UCF had a couple of set points in the second set, didn't convert, and you could kind of sense if you watch the match in the third set, the sales were kind of not there for UCF after not holding on to that second set. What's going to be the keys on Sunday in that match?
I think a couple keys would be, one, serving tough, getting them out of system. They're going to set Jordan Thompson no matter what, but getting her sets to be off the net and giving her kind of less vision of the other side of the court because she has to focus on the ball coming from behind her, I think is huge. That will help us on defense, and that will help with our blockers being able to get out there early, get set on her, and get a good solid block up. I think another key for them would be hitting in seams. That is huge. We used to always love to hit right at people, and as we learned to hit in seams, our lives got so much easier because we would get free balls and down balls back. And I also think that just keeping our composure and not stressing out over, oh, she got this huge kill, or, oh, they got this great block, like 1 point at a time. All you got to do is win by 2. You don't have to win by 10. You don't have to win by 7, 8, whatever it is. You just have to win by 2. So just pushing through 1 point at a time and not psyching ourselves out and stressing out about it.
We're speaking with Jordan Pingel here on the Black Gold Banneret Podcast. What has it been like for you this year when you go and watch them play, but you're not playing? You're watching it. You're a fan. Has that been difficult for you when watching them in person?
Yes, it was definitely difficult at first, because I had the longing to just be out there, especially defense. Defense was my favorite thing to do, and so I missed being out there for those long rallies and getting crazy ups and that kind of stuff. I definitely missed the defense. I missed the girls, and I missed all the people, and I missed that a lot, but I also kind of enjoy watching from the stands and kind of just getting to enjoy, like, yep, that was my past, and now I get to enjoy it as an alumni and cheer on the girls and support them and the girls that are going to be having their senior day coming up, and just get to be there for them and watch from a different side. It's getting easier, but I still definitely miss playing.
What made you decide to come to UCF and play here at UCF?
When I was getting recruited, I went on a couple visits to different schools, and when I came to UCF, there was just something about it that really spoke to me. And it was a place that I could see myself going to school, even if volleyball wasn't in the cards anymore. If I had gotten a season-ending or a career-ending injury and I couldn't play volleyball anymore, it was a school that I could see myself still wanting to go to as just a regular student and enjoying all the activities and meeting new people and friends like that. I'm from Colorado, and so Florida, the temperature is definitely a lot different. So that was a huge key too, and being close to the beach, and there's just so much stuff to do and so much about this school that is so special. Like, everyone here has so much love and support for the athletes, and they will bend over backwards and do whatever they can to help you succeed. And I saw that and noticed that, and that was very important for me, and so I chose to be a Knight.
What do you remember of your first encounter with Coach Dagenet there, and then obviously what was it like playing for him?
Well, I actually knew Coach Dagenet for a long time. He used to work at UCF Volleyball with my dad. So I've known him since I was probably like 3, maybe, really young. So I just remember him being kind of like a family friend, and then once I was getting into the stage of I could play college volleyball and was getting recruited, and then he was recruiting me, I was like, oh, this is kind of like weird. It's a family friend, but it was so professional, and it wasn't anything weird about it, and just visiting, and it was completely like he wanted the best for me, just like any other player. You could tell that he was someone who really spent the time to learn about each player and know how to help them grow, and learning what each player needed to kind of be pushed right up to their limits. And he loves to talk about breaking through glass ceilings, and that glass ceiling is the point at which you think you can't go any further, but you just got to push a little bit more and you can break through and go. And he knows that that's something super important, and just pushing people right to where they think they can't go anymore, but then they do, and then you see that huge improvement and like accomplishing the goal that they wanted to. So I could tell that he just really cared about the players and cared about the sport, and that was super important to me when I was getting recruited.
How much of an adjustment was it for you to play all of a sudden now Division I quality volleyball here as you stepped on campus and you started playing matches here at UCF?
It's definitely eye-opening compared to club. I was fortunate enough to have a pretty competitive club team. So I had people on my team. Haley Washington, who went to Penn State, she was on my team. Alexis Smith, who played at CU, was on my team. So I had a lot of good competition and high-level athletes. So practices were pretty intense and tough. And coming here, it's different. Just the girls are older, the girls are stronger, like they live and breathe volleyball. And so that aspect was different. And it definitely took a semester to get used to. I was glad that I graduated high school early and came to the semester early, just so I could get that first semester under my belt and kind of get used to speed and the strength and the quickness of everything. But it's definitely just different. The girls are smarter, they are more experienced, they know what they're doing, and you just got to learn quick and jump right in. Don't be afraid to make mistakes or anything like that, and just learn as fast as you can.
It was a bit of a transition season for the program. They had won the American Conference Championship the year before in 2014, took a step back in 2015, but bounced back-to-back 20-win seasons, your sophomore and junior seasons, including a trip to the NIVC tournament your junior year. What turned it around from your freshman year, then all of a sudden to your sophomore year and your junior year?
I would say that starting off with my freshman year, there was just this huge target on our backs after the team had won conference the year before. They had lost, I think they had like 6 seniors on the team the year before, so we were a younger team, and we were kind of just confused, like, why is this target on our back? Like, we didn't win, the other girls did. I think everyone came in kind of like shell-shocked and just didn't really know, and obviously that, I think we got like 5th or something that year in conference. We're like, okay, now we know, like, we're all adjusted, we got to figure this out now, and I think it's just a kick in the butt in the off-season, like, all right, we know we can do better, we have the skill to be able to do better, we need to bond better as a team, we need to work harder as a team, and just slowly start to build back up and put the pieces together that had graduated after that conference-winning season and kind of just learn and grow and get better at a time, and I think we were just a young team and just progressing step by step and day by day, and the older players really helped and held us accountable and would give us little tips and coaching tricks here and there, and that helped too.
How did playing in the postseason your junior year in the AIVC tournament, you had to play in Athens, really set you all up for that magical year last year where you went 27-4, undefeated in the league, 18-0, and make it to the NCAA tournament? But did making the postseason the year before kind of help start that run in 2018?
Yeah, I definitely would think so, in a couple ways. First of all, just getting to experience postseason volleyball. It was all of our first time getting to experience it. And it gave us just a look into the future. Okay, so NIVC isn't as big of a deal as NCAA, but it is still postseason. You still get those jitters and those nerves and that kind of stuff. I also think it kind of prepped us because we got to play a team like Georgia, who is Power 5, who is very competitive. They got the big hitters, the high jumpers, that kind of stuff. And yes, we did lose to them, but I think that just gave us a little bit of a taste of what postseason is like. Like, you're going to play these big-name schools, and everyone is on the same level at that point. Like, no one has any better record than the other person. You're all in postseason. You're all fighting for the same goal. So there's nothing different there. And the last reason I would say is it kind of put a little bit of a chip on our shoulder as well, just because we did want to make the NCAA tournament. And I know we were kind of wishy-washy on the edge. We didn't know if we were going to even be in postseason, and everyone's goal is to be in the NCAA tournament. I think that year we were like, okay, that's it. Like, we're done. The next time we're playing in postseason is NCAA. It's like, we're not messing around anymore. And I think we accomplished that very well. And I think the freshmen coming in helped us a ton because almost all of them played consistently or started last year. So that definitely helped.
Well, one freshman that kind of took a lot of attention last year and has continued this year in her sophomore year is McKenna Melville, who you've mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. What do you remember the first time you saw her play on the court, and what makes her so good? Because for a freshman, man, she didn't play like a freshman. She was unbelievable, and has continued that even to this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember she was coming in, and I remember a couple of years ago, Todd had sat me down, and he was like, so we have this girl coming in from Minnesota. She's going to be a libero. She's going to take your spot, and, like, I really want you to kind of guide her and mentor her when she gets here because you'll be a senior, you'll be a freshman. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, cool. And so McKenna shows up, and she's, like, 6'1". I was like, this is the tallest libero I've ever seen. Like, holy cow. And then we realized, oh, she grew, like, 7 inches after she was recruited and has been playing outside for the past, like, year and a half. And so then she starts ripping balls in open gym. I was like, okay, this girl is not playing libero. Like, she's the outside hitter. She's a stud. Like, we need her on the court at all times. She can't even take a half rotation off. Like, she was just so talented. And if anyone knows her, she's goofy and she's funny, and she takes volleyball seriously because she's very competitive, but she knows how to have fun, and she knows how to laugh at herself when she makes mistakes. So she's really fun to play with, and her and Christina and I had a lot of fun going through all the serve-receive drills together and suffering through those and working hard together. But we really were able to make each other laugh and keep our spirits up throughout the games, even when we got frustrated. So it was great to have her being young and energetic and fun. And then Christina, who had been there for a year and was experienced, but still young and fun. And then my old grandma self out there, they were keeping me young. Yeah,
I would imagine. I remember last year covering every time, Coach Dashley would say, if, you were the leader of the team without question. If something had to be said that maybe needed to be said, you would be the one that would say it, even if it maybe wasn't something that somebody wanted to hear. But you were like a de facto coach, if you will. Where did that come from you as far as being that type of leader?
I would say just a lot being the only senior. I kind of felt that it was part of my responsibility, and the girls voted for captain and I was voted for captain. So I took that to heart, and I was like, okay, like, these girls want me to lead them. They want me to take control of situations, to do the tough jobs and say the tough things that no one wants to hear. And I want to take that to heart because I think I can do a good job at it. And I started to learn that that's what we needed to do to be better, is I had to say those things that no one wanted to hear because it was for the betterment of the team. Or I had to stay extra and do sprint reps and stay extra progressed because it was for the betterment of the team. I think a lot of it just leading by example, and I had a lot of upperclassmen that helped as well. I definitely would say that there was more than just me as a leader. Yes, I would have to say the hard things sometimes, but there are so many people out there that led by example or would help coach things, because I can say a couple things about blocking, but I don't know the fine details. And having people like Ali and Lachey and Marissa to be able to coach others and help them and talk through them with the freshmen and that kind of stuff, I think that was huge. So honestly, just the girls voting me as captain was such an honor, and I wanted to make them proud and take it all the way.
The 18 team is always going to be remembered. You won the league going undefeated. You were ranked in the top 25, first time in the program in Division I history. You hosted in the NCAA tournament at the venue, first time there. Lots of firsts for the program. What's the one takeaway you will have from that team? I know you had your ring ceremony earlier this year. You got your ring. When you think back to that 2018 team and that season, what's the thing that comes to your mind?
There's two things that would come to mind. The first thing is I feel like the moment that kind of set our season on track was us beating USC in preseason. I think that was huge. I think it showed us that, yeah, we were young, but we were talented and we were skilled and we could hang with anyone. And that game was so fun. And that entire tournament that Florida hosted, it was Louisville and USC in Florida, and all great teams, and so fun to play all of them, and beating USC out of all that just set us up for the entire season. We're like, okay, like every game we got to prepare like it's USC. We can't walk into the gym and think, oh, it's just another team. No, every game it's, okay, here's how we're going to beat this team. We take every team seriously. And I think that kind of just set us up for the whole season. And then the second thing I would think about is probably the feeling of holding up that conference tournament or that conference trophy. It was a completely emotional experience just because it was something I'd wanted since before I even got to UCF. I was like, I want to win a ring. I want a championship. And I had made little note cards for all the girls for their lockers that had said 2018 AAC champions. And I had made it probably 3 days after my hip surgery, after my junior season. And I was sitting on the couch, like with the crutches next to me, and I just was making all those and take them to everyone's locker. Just a constant reminder every day we walk in, this is our goal, this is what we're going for. So just the experience of being able to hold up that trophy and be like, yes, we did it. Like this was what we had set our eyes on from day one of off season, and we finally accomplished our goals. So I think that was huge.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I didn't know that story. That's pretty remarkable. And now we're going to see if the current Knights here in 2019 can go back-to-back. We've talked about what's going to be the keys for them to accomplish that a couple weeks to go in the season. I want to ask you, though, this is also going to be senior weekend for them. A lot of the seniors on the group. It's a little bigger crowd than last year, Jordan. So it's
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But that'll be my last question to you. What can you say about this senior class that you played with at UCF and what they brought to the table here for those that'll get to see them here in the regular season finale this weekend and then in the conference tournament?
Oh, yes. The senior class has such a spot in my heart, just playing with them for some of them for 3 years, some of them Mackenzie I haven't even played with, but still bonded with so much. Like, I love all those girls. I have enjoyed watching them grow from freshman to now. I told them last year after our season ended that to really just enjoy every single moment because it absolutely flies by. Like, it feels like just a couple weeks ago I was still practicing and going to games and that kind of stuff. And they're just such a talented group, and whether they choose to continue on and try to play pro or get a career in something they really like, I think they're all going to be very successful. And I've just really enjoyed playing with them and seeing them grow into mature and responsible and wonderful human beings.
Well said. That's unbelievable there. One last one there. When you broke the Diggs record, do you remember what do you remember when they did tell you? What was that moment like when you knew that they set the program record?
Well, I had known that I would have probably done it in that game against UConn.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really counting my digs or anything like that because I was like, well, that's just going to mess me up, and then I'll get like 5 digs in the match, and it'll screw me over. Like, that's so normal. It's fine. Like, just dig balls so we can win as a team. Like, that's what we care about. And so we're just, like, doing it. And I remember I dug a ball, and then I was, like, waiting for the girl to serve. And, like, it was the longest pause. And I was like, why are we not serving? Like, what is going on? And then the announcement came over, like, we just want to take this moment and congratulate Jordan Pingel on her 2000th dig. And then I remember Christina coming up and hugging me right away because I was her mentor for the past, like, 2 years. And so we just had, like, this super special connection. And she's like, I'm so proud of you. And then I was all embarrassed. And I was like, okay, everyone, let's just keep playing volleyball. But it was quite an honor. And it was fun to be celebrated. Get a volleyball with that kind of labeled on it and everything. So it's quite the honor. And I'm happy I could have done it in my senior year. That was exciting.
Yeah, one in the record books there. And, boy, I tell you, a lot of people enjoyed you watching you play, and I'm sure still miss you seeing play, but glad to see you around. Jordan Pingel joining us here on the Black Gold Banneret. Thanks so much for joining us. I know it's a busy schedule, but thanks for offering your perspective not only on what fans could expect this weekend, but your career. It's one of the great careers. You're one of my favorite players. I mean, I don't know what it is about the state of Colorado, but it's produced come to UCF 2 of my favorite players, you and Aaron Campbell. So that's a pretty high honor there. So thanks for joining us, and we'll definitely try to do this down the road.
Yeah, thanks so much, and thanks for having me.
And that's Jordan Pingel joining us there. Great perspective and her analysis coming up for this matchup and what she's been up to in her career. Jeffrey, and I know we'll get back to Jordan Thompson in this Cincinnati match, but I want to ask you this real quick.
Okay.
If we do a Mount Rushmore of UCF volleyball, in my opinion, Jordan Pingel needs to be in it. Agree?
I'm with you on that. Yeah, she's the all-time leader in digs. What she meant for the program, even coming in, as a freshman, has really been, it's really been indispensable, and that's why I think we got to give a lot of credit to the players who've kind of filled that role, particularly Mackenzie Kuchmaner, who has stepped in at that libero position this year as a graduate transfer student from North Carolina State. That is not easy to do for anybody, and for UCF to be as good as they have been on the back line this year, I think is a real tribute to the job that she did and to the bar that Jordan set at that point for UCF. It's really been something, because let me tell you, they're going to have a challenge this weekend. Again, got to be ECU first. But if you get through ECU and you got to deal with Jordan Thompson in Cincinnati, we're going back to that.
Give the stat. Yeah, give the stat you were looking up during the interview.
This is the most amazing performance I think I've ever seen by anybody in volleyball in terms of a box score. We talked about Jordan Thompson at 50 kills. First player in 20 years to have 50 kills in a match. She did it on 83 swings and only recorded 6 errors. So in volleyball, what you do is you figure out your hit percentage. It's kills minus errors divided by total attempts. Jordan Thompson hit 530 in that match on 83 swings. That's like, you can't even do that on easy mode in a video game that's that good. Like, if you're hitting over 300, you're having a really good night. She hit 530 on 83 swings. If you're taking 30 swings, okay, you're busy. She swung 83 times in this match. Just an unbelievable performance. And you got to wonder, is fatigue going to be a factor? What is UCF's backline going to do? More importantly, what is their front line going to do with Anne-Marie Watson and Narissa Moravec and Lachey Harper going up against her? We might see some of Ali Sable as well. UCF has had success against Jordan, at least not stopping her, of course, because you just can't stop a player who's that good. But just throttling her back just enough so UCF can get ahead in matches. It didn't work up in Cincinnati. We'll see if it does on Sunday at UCF.
Should be fun. I mean, it's going to be a fun match. Should be for the conference championship, barring some bizarre upsets, and should be a lot of fun.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we talk a little hoops. Women's basketball, their season getting underway. Obviously, we had our preview show earlier this week, but how did UCF do against ACC foe Pitt in front of 4,000 elementary schoolers? Well, we'll find out in just a moment. This is the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. Jeff Sharon, Eric Lopez, Brian Murphy with you here as we wrap things up. Now, earlier today, well, today being Wednesday, you're not listening to this on Wednesday, but we're recording it on Wednesday. Earlier today, we were at women's basketball season opener. UCF receiving votes in the top 25. Picked third in the conference, and right off the bat, they take on the Pitt Panthers out of the ACC, a team that UCF beat in Pittsburgh last year. It was Education Day, 11 a.m. tip on a Wednesday morning, and that's because, gentlemen, there were 4,000 elementary schoolers bussed in from Orange County Public Schools to be at the match, 3rd through 5th graders.
Are you sure it wasn't more than that? I think it was more. In fact, didn't they just announce like it was over like 6,900 people all together in there? The
total number of tickets sold or comped is a UCF women's basketball record, 6,970. They set the attendance record today. And UCF got the victory over Pitt as well. But first of all, can we talk a little bit about the atmosphere? Because yes, it was loud and it was high. It was high frequency loud, but it was a fun atmosphere to see all the kids there and really enjoying the game. UCF was down by 9 after 22-11, but then held Pitt to no more than 13 points in any particular quarter. KK Wright, who did not start in this game but did play and heated up in the second quarter in particular, was 6 of 12 from the field for 16 points, 4 nights in double figures. Siani Martin with 15 on 5 threes, 5 of 6 from three-point range was Siani today. Masani Kaba got into the action with 14 points and Brittany Smith with 12. So we saw a lot of inside-outside work for UCF today. And Murph, you were there. Now I know Pitt's not, the strength of the ACC this year, at least as far as we know, but still good to get a win over a team of that quality, considering especially how good that they were shooting in the early going. And UCF was able to weather the storm, right?
Yeah, a win is a win is a win is a win. I was impressed by, again, that second half clamp down, what they did defensively, and really, guys, certainly they're not. This UCF team is not going to shoot 50% from the above the 3-point line every game. However, they are probably going to be a better 3-point shooting team this year, and that's going to make them pretty dangerous because how good defensively they're going to be. They are going to wear you out on that end of the floor. But if they can get some offense and get some big buckets and get some threes and with some regularity, this team could be fairly dangerous. I was obviously impressed with Siani hitting 5 threes, Brittany Smith double-double. KK Wright, it showed that she worked on a 3-point shot this season. She hit probably the shot of the game today. About 7 minutes to play. UCF up by 7. And there was a play in which it kind of breaks down for UCF's offense. It's kind of a havoc play where nothing was going right. The ball was bouncing all over the place. The shot clock was running down. The ball rolls into KK's hands at the top of the arc, and she drains a 3 to push it to a 10-point lead with less than 7 to play. And I thought that was about it from there. It was a really, really impressive second half. And I think we've got Coach Abe here talking about not only KK's effort, what impressed her also about the other players on the team, the noise in the building, and just how dangerous this team can be with the improved 3-point shooting.
We have 3 really good ones. It would be KK and Georgia and Siani. Georgia was just so overwhelming a little bit. The noise. Was it noisy for you guys? It was super noisy, which is great. It was awesome, right? But this is her first time she's ever played on our arena floor, and I think she had a little bit of nerves going on, and obviously Siani didn't. And obviously they played zone the whole time, and so we just figured out what offense we were going to run, and she was wide open, Siani. And then the second half, Georgia came back. and was hitting shots because I said, I don't care if you airball every single shot, just keep shooting. You're a shooter. That's what you should be doing. She's really our best three-point shooter. But if Siani can keep shooting like that, KK can keep shooting like that, Georgia can keep shooting like that. I don't know if everybody's going to keep playing a zone. We're phenomenal against any kind of man defense. But with those three shooting, it's really going to open up Brittany and Moss, which it did.
That's Coach Abe talking postgame after the win over Pitt. Now, Brian, this is not, was it UCF was from Beyond the Arc today
10 of 20.
10 of 20. By the way, Pitt was also 10 of 20 from Beyond the Arc. But three-point shooting is not what this team really wants to do, or at least to this point has done for Coach Abe. So is this a new wrinkle that we're looking at, or was it a situation where the shots were open and we're just going to take them, and then they ended up draining them?
I think this team is going to take more threes this year. I don't think this team is going to be solely within 17 feet and in. And I think that's part of the game plan. I mean, again, I don't think you see KK working as hard as she did this summer on that shot if they didn't plan to have her take more threes. And I think that kind of goes for the team. Certainly, they're not going to shoot 10 of 20. I've said that. But I do think they're going to take more of just those big shots from the outside. I think you're going to see more of that this year.
Eric, what was your impression of their performance today?
Well, keep in mind, too, as Coach Abe mentioned, defense kind of dictated a lot of that. Pitt played zone, and so they gave them the three-point shots. And I think some teams, maybe that's the scouting report early on is, hey, play zone against them, see if they can beat you from the perimeter. But they have players that can shoot, and I think they have more firepower. Honestly, this might be the most talented offensive players that Coach Abe has had in her 4 seasons. I think they've got some more options. I mean, I thought Kaba looked great, 14 and 9. Brittany Smith inside 12 and 11, I thought was solid. Georgia Gale's a great shooter from the perimeter. I thought Diamond Battles, even though she struggled with her shot, 9 assists, allowing KK to play off the ball. I think this team has a little more diversity here offensively and has some more creativity offensively. And I think that's what got them back in this game. They fell behind early by double digits. I don't know if they come back a couple years from ago with this, but they do with this offense. And then their defense clammed down. And it's a young team, and I think they'll get better, as Murph mentions. We'll see how they do on the 3-game road trip. But I liked what I saw. I think this team can score more than people think.
Yeah, I do think that if they're able to open up that three-point shooting game, that does help spread the floor. And actually, that'll make the job for the bigs that much easier. We talked about Brittany Smith and Masani Kaba, combining for us at 26 and 20 together in that front line. But if you're able to play that sort of 3-guard alignment out there, and you can have them just gobble up rebounds, which they were good at today, that's going to be a big help for UCF moving forward. Because as we know, with the conference when the conference season hits at the start of the new year, it's going to be time to hit the gas pedal. And UCF has 3 road games coming up: at Belmont, at Florida Gulf Coast, at Stephen F. Austin, before they return home the Sunday before Thanksgiving to take on the Delaware Blue Hens. By the way, for those of you wondering where's the men's basketball team, they are getting started on Saturday, November the 9th against Prairie View, and they will also play Tuesday night at 9 o'clock at home against Miami. So that's 2 home games to start out for UCF men's basketball. As many unanswered questions as we had about women's basketball that seem to be answered, we're going to try and get some answers from men's basketball to see how all those newcomers will mesh together in this game. So a reminder, listen to our basketball preview podcast, which we put up earlier this week. We preview both UCF women's and men's teams, and we also have on show number 183, we have some more basketball preview content for you as well. So, all right, well, here we are, boys. We're eyeball deep in the fall sports equinox. Brian, you're heading out to Tulsa. What do you have in mind for what's coming up this week? We got are we going to see another patented Brian Murphy checklist this Friday?
Oh God. Let's see. As of recording this right now, I'm about I'm about 7 hours away from getting on a flight to Dallas and then to Tulsa. And then hopefully at that point I will be able to contribute to the Jeremy Brenner Roundtable at some point. And then, hopefully I will get to the checklist or whatever you want to call it before or maybe probably early Friday morning and post that Friday morning for the game Friday night. I will then be taking a 6 a.m. flight out of Tulsa back to Houston and then to Orlando, which will then land at noon on Saturday, so I can go to the UCF men's basketball game probably straight from the airport with checked baggage in tow. It'll be fun.
I just want everybody to know that you're the one who chooses to do this to yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would have it no other way. I love this. I was telling Eric today, because we still don't know what time the Black Friday game against USF is yet. And I'll tell you what, Jeffrey, I know I kind of shot it down on our last podcast, but and I've got a lot more to say, so just give me a few minutes here. If that Black Friday game is at like 6 or 7 o'clock, then all of a sudden that dream of going to Anaheim, California on Thanksgiving, no less, to watch UCF men's basketball play Pitt and then fly back Friday morning, I might have enough time to make that work if that game is a night game. I'm just saying there's a slight chance. It's even more than Jim Carrey and Lauren Holly in Dumb and Dumber. I swear to God, it's a bigger chance than that. There's still a chance. And also, I would be remiss if I didn't say, let's watch fake exhibition baseball. I was out there on Friday night, and you know what? A lot of people were out at the John on Friday night. You saw Matthew Micah was out there, Kyle Kemp was out there, Shane Brown was out there. And UCF looked good. They pitched well. I think they had 20 strikeouts and 2 walks. It doesn't really matter because no stats were kept. I think UCF won 5-3, but that's a complete total guess. Again, they did not keep runs.
Sam Unger was asking you to calculate WAR, and meanwhile the stats were not being kept.
Sam was very eager. Sam, I think, wanted me to do play-by-play at one point in this exhibition baseball game against Stetson. I think the major takeaway is that it sounds like all of the pitchers who ended last season going through, having to rehab from surgery. So your Joe Sheridans, your Zach Helzels, your Ryan Saltonstalls, your Nolan Lepkoskis, those guys, Trevor Holloway, all of those guys, according to Greg Lovelady, are on track to be ready for opening day in February. So that's good. UCF baseball plays another fall ball game on Friday night in DeLand.
Nice.
I unfortunately will not be there.
No.
I know.
Oh.
Be there. I do have other business to attend to, as aforementioned. But as Eric has brought up previously, there will be the Black and Gold World Series next week, and I will make it out there for maybe definitely one, maybe 2 games. And then if I can pull myself away from that magnetic sporting event, maybe I'll make it to playoff soccer.
How about you?
Hold on.
Okay.
Wait, I got questions here. The Night Nation has questions, Murph.
Hey.
Billy McKay, Friday night starter potential?
Nope. Billy McKay. Let me look where, because Billy McKay started the game against Stetson on Friday night, and to be honest, because this was our first look at any of these guys, I was unaware of who Billy McKay was. So Billy McKay, I really was, I swear. Billy McKay is a JUCO transfer from Polk State College. I believe that's the same JUCO that brought us Jordan Spicer. Billy McKay is like a submariner right-hander. The reason why he started this game against Stetson, according to Coach Lovelady, is because there were scouts in attendance. Like, you could see the radar guns. They were certainly there behind home plate. There were scouts in attendance. Lovelady wanted those scouts to get a good look at McKay, who is obviously a draft-eligible junior. And so that's why he started. He will factor into the bullpen merry-go-round this year. Certainly, he comes from a weird angle. He's gonna be hard to pick up with his submarining style. So I think he'll have a big factor. I think he will have a big factor in the bullpen. But no, and you should not expect him to start unless they go with an opener type situation for midweek games, which I think Lovely left the door open as a possibility. So that was somebody that you could watch out for in the bullpen this year.
This concludes your edition of
innings,
Diamond Notes with Brian Murphy.
12 innings, man. Stetson UCF baseball.
Scheduled 12 innings because obviously they're only playing two. You like this, Jeff? You like how I'm continuing to talk about this? They're playing 12 innings because they're only playing two scheduled games against other opponents before they do the Inter-Squad World Series. So I assume that the game on Friday night will also be 12 innings. But on the bright side, those 12 innings on Friday night were brisk. They were 3 hours and 20 minutes. That is a brisk pace for a 12-inning game. So I appreciated that. All in all,
were they starting with a 1-1 count? How does that happen?
But no, because I think it was a lot of quick at bats. Again, UCF only had 2 walks in 12 innings, and so not putting a lot of guys on base. And to be frank, UCF didn't have a lot of guys on base either. So it was brisk. Not as brisk as it'll be in Tulsa on Saturday night, but that's a hominin game. So we'll go from there.
That's phenomenal. How often are you going to check that UCF baseball account from Tulsa? How often?
Nah,
they're not keeping score.
I don't know if UCF baseball is really doing much. I believe UCF baseball sent out like 3 tweets during the game. Okay. I will say this. I give a hell of a lot of credit to Ricky. I forgot Ricky's last name. He's the
Ricky Hazel. Come on.
Our boy Ricky Hazel from Stetson. Shout out to Ricky. We love Ricky over here.
The only reason why I knew the score of the game, or really why anybody knew the score of the game, is because Ricky was in the visiting SID box and doing play-by-play stats. He was keeping stats for this game. Now,
that's dedication.
That did lead to some complications where, obviously because it's spring, a lot of the guys are not wearing the jerseys that they will wear in February because those jerseys aren't ready yet. So when he looks at the roster and sees that 16 is the winning pitcher, well, it says 16 is Zach Helzel. Well, Zach Helzel is recovering from Tommy John surgery, so he didn't pitch. So I guess those are the pitfalls of really paying attention to fall ball, is that you can get trapped into thinking that someone is who they actually are not. Other than that, though, good on him for doing that. I would have scored it if I cared enough. I look forward to going back for the World Series. And look, we're only 3 months away from actual college baseball starting. What a time to be alive.
There you go, Sam. You asked for it, you got it. So that's your UCF baseball wrap with Brian Murphy there.
He's the best.
Impressed. That's impressive. Eric, what do you got coming up? I know we had you got your 3 stars up today, and you got to look at some TV numbers too, right?
That's right. I got the TV numbers for UCF Houston. Football game did very well. I break it down in Black Gold Banneret. 3 stars of the week. We'll be following how women's soccer does in Memphis. We'll be following football on Friday. I'm going to be working Magic games. And softball, fall ball is going on too. UCF playing Florida in softball, fall ball. It's a great time, Murph. It's fall ball. It's beautiful.
We got a 1 versus 2 on Saturday. LSU and Alabama at 3:30. We got
this is 3, Jeff. Pay attention.
2 versus 3.
Whatever. It's 1 versus. What was the last time that we had a number 1 in one poll face a number 1 in another poll?
Who cares?
All righty then.
You might want to end it, Jeff, before Murph breaks down the lineup. Murph is the only thing. The only thing friskier than Tulsa is Murphy today. It's unbelievable. Wow. It's your fault, Jeffrey, for letting him on night shift. He's become unglued. He's like Brock Lesnar. He just gets out of control now since he's been on night shift.
I know. We had him on. He was drinking and swearing freely on the air. It was amazing.
I would say so as a night shift virgin, I did not know what to expect. That was great. I had a lot of fun. I don't really remember the last 30 minutes, but it's fine. And I feel bad not be able to come on to that show ever again because all these other games are probably going to be at night. So it was a one and done deal. It was a one night stand for me and Jeff. on night shift, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
It was a night. It was a night we'll always remember together, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, we'll wrap
I'll
this
never
up.
I'll never let go, Jeffrey.
Right, I know.
I'll never let go.
It'll be our special moment together. blackandgoldbanneret.com is where you can find us all. You can follow us on Twitter at UCF_Banneret, Facebook.com/blackandgoldbanneret. You can follow us individually on Twitter at Spokes_Murphy. That's Brian, Eric Lopez Elo for Eric, and me at Jeff_Sharon. Make sure you also follow Luke Saris, SBN, and Jeremy Brenner with one N as well. Jeremy breaking in his UCF women's basketball beat writing responsibilities
He's
today.
fired
Also,
up, man.
He's excited for that. Yeah, he was he was running around the scores table asking me questions to try and make sure that he got stuff right. Also definitely recommend you follow _DS Warden. Our buddy Derek Warden come up with some great photos. He's had a busy week. He was at football, and then he was at the men's soccer game against where they clinched the share of the conference title. And he's going to be heading to some basketball games as well this season. You can check out his amazing slideshows on blackandgoldbanneret.com. Thanks once again also to Jordan Pingel for joining us as well. We wish her the best of luck. You'll probably see her this weekend at UCF Volleyball as well. We got a big weekend coming up for everybody. It's going to be a fun one, and we hope you'll be along to follow us. Yep.
Have safe travels, buddy.
Safe travels out to Tulsa. I know it's kind of tough. You got to connect out there. No direct flights, huh?
No direct flights out to Tulsa. No, sorry.
Yeah.
I got no joke for that. Do you want a joke on that?
No, I got nothing. I got nothing.
No, thanks.
For Brian Murphy and Eric Lopez, I'm Jeff Sharon. Thanks for listening. This has been the Black and Gold Banneret Podcast. Enjoy the weekend. We'll catch you next week.